All right, welcome into the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, episode 77. We've got our man Vex back here again. He's becoming a staple of the show now. I mean, He's much better than than we are, so it's good to have him on.
You guys make me have fun. I mean, this is what podcasts are supposed to be about. It's honestly, you're supposed to have fun, mix in some sports, but basically just laugh.
Right.
You know?
And this is a good crew to laugh. Yeah,
it is.
And I'll watch y'all drink beers.
Are we sponsored by Miller Lite, or is it just
me
we should and Turner's favorite beer?
It's both your favorite beers.
Okay, we should be.
We're trying to. Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, years down the line, maybe. I don't know.
This is not a Bud Light show. I want you to know.
Not.
Absolutely not. We're Miller Lite through and through, and Tito's vodka. All right. So let's jump in. We're gonna go through. Obviously, we're shooting a couple days after the national championship, but still, I want to talk about it, obviously. We're going to talk about the Final Four. We can start with the first two games. I thought, and you guys tell me if you agree, that this was one of the best Final Fours we've ever had, just at least in terms of competitiveness of the games. All of the games were extremely competitive. The championship game comes down to the last possession. It's not a game-winning shot, but it's down to one defensive stop. The Duke collapse / Houston comeback was one of the crazier endings we've ever seen. I was depressed about that for a day until Florida was able to take care of Houston, and then now I'm okay with it. But
Duke just melted down the stretch.
Do we want to talk about the Final Four, the first two games, or we want to talk about the championship?
I think we should talk about all the games. Right?
Okay. I think you have to start with the entire tournament.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was the most entertaining NCAA tournament of recent memory, and we always have that recency bias, so it's it comes off kind of lame to say that. But I swear to you, I was entertained more by this tournament and this season in college basketball than I have been in at least 5 or 6 years. The numbers bear it out. The ratings for this tournament and this college basketball regular season were higher than any year previous.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Jay Billis said that this morning, so I have to believe it.
Yeah.
I thought the level of play was outstanding. Outstanding. If you want to gripe that there weren't enough upsets, well, tough.
Yeah.
But trust me, that's an aberration. Next year there will be. Okay,
Right.
Just things go in cycles like that.
I just hate the the assholes that picked like the 4 number 1 seeds go to the Final
We all hate that asshole.
And they're like, look, I got a perfect Final Four. Like, fuck you, dude. I mean,
You're boring.
Yeah, you're boring. No one likes that guy.
But in reality, Dylan was texting us, and I think he said it on the show. He wanted to see the 4 best basketball teams, and I think that's what we got.
Yep.
I mean,
we absolutely did.
You could nitpick, and I don't know, maybe no. We got the 4.
I think we did.
I would say besides the first round, because obviously everybody likes to see a couple more upsets. But besides that, once you got to the round of the 32, it was for sure the best tournament.
And
like all the games were good at that point.
Yeah.
Turner, we were like this close to having Colorado State in the Elite Eight.
It's a great point.
Right? Like if Derek Queen misses that shot, then Colorado State's your Cinderella story, right?
Yep.
And if Texas Tech doesn't have an epic fall apart in the last 5 minutes against Florida, they're in the Final Four.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Right. And so we were really close to having a few more, less chalk.
Sure.
That's true.
Yeah, no, I thought about that. I was thinking, you think just when you're watching Florida and Houston in the championship, Florida could have lost to UConn, should have lost to Texas Tech, and then Houston should have lost to Duke and could have lost to Purdue in the round of 16. So it was like you have two teams there where they easily could have been out a couple rounds before or the round before, and they ended up there. And yet still, somehow, they were at least 2 of the 4 best teams. I mean, I think most people thought Duke was the best team. I thought it was Florida, but nitpick, whatever. We got Florida and Houston. We got 2 of the best teams. Like you said, we got the 4 best in the Final Four. Quickly on the topic of Houston, because Vex and I talked about this on his podcast. By the way, go check out Vex's podcast, The Unrestricted.
Thank you.
With Vex and the Bulldog.
Yep.
Correct? Yes.
Yep.
And so great show. I got to be on there. It was very an honor to be on. We did have a blast. Very, very fun. We broke down all the Final Four games, but we were talking, we said at the beginning of the tournament, we said, and I said this to you, and we both kind of agreed, Houston always has that game where they cannot buy a shot. They cannot make a 3, and that's why they always lose in the tournament. And yet, in this tournament, it hadn't happened, and this was the best shooting Houston team we had ever seen. And then in the Final Four, they had their worst 2 shooting games of the entire tournament. They shot 37% against Duke and won. Now, they shot 45% from 3, but almost all of it was LJ Cryer. He hit 6 of those 10. I think if you take away LJ, the rest of the team was like 25 or 26% from 3. And then in the championship game, they were 35% from the field and 24% from 3. And yet, they still almost won. I mean, literally, they are up 1 with the ball with a minute to go.
It speaks to the mettle of Florida and Houston that those were the two teams that got through, and that they had been tested in previous rounds where they nearly lost. I mean, their season was on the brink multiple times.
Absolutely.
Were the Gators, were the Cougars, and they got there. Like they showed a lot of mettle. Like didn't go to U of H, don't have friends from U of H, but like go Texas hoops. Like I'm all for that. But like I didn't have a dog in the hunt. I didn't have a horse in the race. I just wanted to watch great basketball. And I got it, man. Yeah. Like you got the last 3 games, the 2 Final Four games and the final game decided by a total of 11 points.
That's crazy.
How much better do you want?
I know.
Yeah, no, it couldn't get any better than that.
Even the Florida Auburn game, like I'm watching the post game with Bruce Pearl and they're asking him what went wrong. He's like, guys, we scored 48 points in the first half. Like, I mean, we just didn't score in the second half and they're really, really good. I mean, it's just what happens when you get these good teams playing each other. It's what happens. And Florida and Houston, to your point, were the 2 toughest teams all year and had been tested the most. And it's the same thing, and it kind of leads us into the Duke collapse. Duke was not tested, and I talked about this on a video I did earlier in the week where I broke down the game. But it wasn't just the players. I think the focus was on the players. And look, the officials played a role in the end of that game for sure. The call on Cooper Flagg, hated the call, felt like Houston got away with the exact same thing that was there the whole game. They wanted to let the players decide it, fine. Final play, they decide the game. Now, Juwan Roberts, to his credit, 65%, goes and knocks them both down on a 1-and-1.
He did.
And Tyrese Proctor went up there with a 1-and-1 to go up 3 and miss the front end. So, you got Duke takes a lot of the blame, and so did the officials. But, yeah, I mean, Duke players hadn't been tested, but neither had John Shire. He hadn't coached in those close game all year. And the games they did, Clemson and early in the year a couple times, they lost. And look, you can go back and nitpick some. They couldn't get the fucking ball in bounds.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And the one time they ran a play that a lot of teams run that's very tough to stop, which is off of a made basket. They put everybody out of bounds, and it looks like a football play. Mm-hmm. They ran it one time. They got the ball in bounds, and they did not run it again. Now, a couple of them were dead balls. You can't do it there. But the last one, when they were up 3, when they turned the ball over, and Houston kicked it out and missed a 3 and got the putback slam to go up 1, that was off of a made basket before then, and they turned it over and didn't run that play. So it was like, there were so many stoppages too, where it's like every single time we were looking at the clock, so he got to draw something up on every single inbounds.
Yeah.
Every inbounds. So to me, and you know, take this wherever you guys want to go, but to me, I thought John Shire played a big role in that loss. Now there's other guys, Tyrese Proctor and Cooper Flagg was phenomenal
not giving
down
the ball up is bizarre. I mean, when you actually put it like, statistically speaking, it's like, I know this is crazy to say, but it's like Draymond Green not throwing the ball to Steph Curry.
Yeah,
the nipple. I mean, it's like, I obviously, those kids are college kids and the pressure could absolutely get to them. They didn't play in a lot of close games, but regardless, whoever you think you are, and Proctor was not playing well, you got to swallow your pride and give up the fucking ball.
Yeah. Proctor's the president of his own fan club.
Yeah.
And, I've never met him, okay? Right. But I can tell from a mile away, he loves him some me, doesn't he?
I've only seen him.
Really
I've probably only seen him play 5 or 6 times, and I have the same.
Dylan and I chuckled the other day. We looked at a mock draft, and he was in the first round of the mock draft.
Unbelievable.
No way.
No way.
No way. I'll bet a toe.
He was. It's the second toe you bet on this show, by the way.
I think I lost the last.
No. You kept your toe.
I did. Okay.
You got to keep your toe. Hopefully, you keep this
Walter from the Big Lebowski. You want a fucking toe? I can get you a toe. I can get you a toe, dude. You want it with a green nail polish? Okay, I might take a day. I get you a fucking toe.
No, he was ahead of Walter Clayton Jr. That's what we were talking about. Like, what in the world are you talking about? Walter Clayton Jr. is 6'3", 6'4". I thought he was shorter than that, but unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
But those 2 games were phenomenal. And then we got to the championship game, and that game, look, you can say the shot making wasn't there. I think Florida finished 39% or 40%, and Houston was 35%, and both teams were 25% or worse from the 3-point line. Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you this: the first half, the game was not, and Jay Billis brought this up after the game. The first half and the second half, from a play standpoint, they were no different in terms of the physicality. It was just as physical in the first half as there was as it was in the second half. And yet, in the first half, I believe there were 4 foul calls. In the second half, there were 22. So it's a complete shift in how not just that game, but the whole Final Four was called, because there weren't a lot of foul calls both games or the first half of the championship, and it flipped. Now, do I think the games were called throughout the tournament and throughout the year more like the second half? Yes. But it was odd that we saw, just an absolute hockey match out there with 4 foul calls. And then it wasn't just on Houston. The first 5 fouls of the second half were all on Florida. And that allowed Houston to go up 12 when that was their biggest lead of the game.
And then Houston picks up 3 on 1 possession.
Right.
And you had that barrage of foul calls in the first 5 minutes of the second half. To the referee's credit, we bag on them all the time. I'll give them this much. Down the stretch of the game, I didn't think they swallowed their whistles enough to let the kids decide the game. Okay. There were too many fouls in the first 15 minutes of the second half, but the last 5, they mostly got it right. So I give them credit for that. Whereas in the Duke semifinal, they obviously made an egregious error on the Cooper flag call. You can't decide a game on something that's soft on a loose ball. You just can't.
You can't.
I thought it was everything that we asked for, man. Like, we talked about it last week together. If you love the NBA, you love the NBA for the skill, for the shot making, for the expertise of every single dude that walks on that floor. And if you love college basketball, that's not what you're watching for.
Right.
You're watching for the effort, for the enthusiasm, for the intensity,
for the meltdowns that don't happen in the NBA. In the NBA, they don't blow 9-point leads.
No,
Like,
man.
It just doesn't happen.
It's rare.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Much more rare.
1-and-1s.
Yeah.
There's a different element to it. What drives me crazy about the referees is, in my opinion, like Dylan said, if you're going to call a game a certain way, and I know, what happens. Those guys go in at halftime and they'll watch, they'll fast forward and like, hey, did I miss that call? They'll see everything they did, and they'll say, hey, we missed a lot of foul calls. So the next thing you know, it's whistle after whistle. But the problem with that is, it's like the equivalent would be like a Major League Baseball umpire not calling the outside corner, going in the 5th inning and taking a rain delay and going, wow, there's been a lot of close calls in the outside corner, and then coming back for 4 innings and calling every single pitcher. You can't do that.
No, I agree.
You just can't do it. And I'm with you. They did let them play the last 5 minutes of the game, whatever. But I just, I don't know. It's irritating for me when referees do that. We see it all the time with college, and I think that's the I don't get on referees as hard as Dylan, that's for sure. I think they're people with families, and they're doing their best out there, Facts, okay? They're people too, but
They have no soul.
Dylan's like, these people are gutless, spineless, soulless motherfuckers. I hate officials. I should start recording them screaming at the TV.
You fucking crazy, man.
But yeah, anyway.
It's a never-ending battle.
Spoiler,
Spoiler, I'm going to lose every time.
If you're going to call fouls, and I get the double, the two sides of it. If they call fouls like they did in the first 15 minutes of the game, or in the second half, everybody's on the bench in foul trouble, right? So they don't want that, and they're like, okay, now that everybody's not in foul trouble, we're going to start officiating the game the right way. I just don't think you can do that.
What's funny about it, too, is to me, that the beginning of the half benefited Houston from a short-term standpoint, and the fact that they were up 3 at halftime, and it wasn't like directly on free throws that they took the lead, but they got extra possessions and a couple of free throws. But if you're a Houston fan and you're sitting there, and the way college basketball tends to even out with foul calls a lot of the time, you're sitting there thinking, is this really a good thing? And that's the problem, is then it put Florida in the double bonus earlier, and the bonus early, and they got to the free throw line 7 more times than Houston by the end of the game, right? And so it's like, yeah, those initial first 5 fouls helped Houston, and then it evened out. And now for the next 10 minutes, it's both ways. And to me, that's advantage Florida. Florida would rather have the game be called tighter there. Yeah. Better free throw shooters, right? I mean, and not that Houston's a bad free throw shooting team, but they struggled in that game, and they missed free throws down the stretch. I mean, it's just what happened.
So I want to give props to our hometown, to San Antonio, because the reviews I got from friends who went down, saw Chris Stapleton, saw Pitbull, saw other acts, was that San Antonio really showed off. We were lucky. We got great weather. The musical acts they brought in were really good. I have to say, everybody says that the traffic and the pedestrian traffic was really easy to navigate. So way to go, San Antonio. And also, if you're a fan of the San Antonio Spurs, you have to support Project Marvel. And that would only help support San Antonio getting another Final Four.
Right.
Okay? This has to happen.
Which we are getting one in 29. Didn't you say that, Dylan?
I believe so. I think we are.
So that's what I heard on the broadcast too.
Is it not true?
You heard the same thing I heard. I wound up going to look it up. That is not true. We do not have the Final Four in 2029.
Really?
No, in 2026, I believe it is, we have a Southern Regional.
Okay.
But like, we don't have another Final Four on the books.
You're right.
I know, but you and I got that from somewhere, bro.
I read it on the internet too. It wasn't just I heard it. I heard it and I read somewhere we had it in 2029.
I said the same thing.
Could
And
it be the women's? Is that what they're talking about? Go check if we have the women's in
Oh,
2029.
well, maybe.
That's probably what it is.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I mean, I would guess because if y'all heard that, because y'all watch a lot of stuff, that's probably
That is what it is. It's in San Antonio.
You know,
2029.
okay.
and I don't
Well,
even think
doesn't count.
I don't
it
even-
doesn't count, and it did say it just said
Yeah,
Final Four.
yeah.
The fuck? That doesn't mean that Final Four is the men's. Okay,
Yes.
you have to say women's beforehand.
I don't even think it's a hot take. Jim Nantz said it last time they were here. The Final Four should just be hosted in San Antonio every year. Should be like Omaha for college baseball.
The
Everybody goes
perfect
to Omaha.
spot.
It's a perfect spot. It's the middle of the country. The weather's good. Everybody stays on the Riverwalk. Everybody walks to the Alamo Dome. There's no reason having fucking Indianapolis. No offense to Indianapolis. Indianapolis doesn't need a Final Four.
So I don't know Indianapolis very well, and
Yeah.
I don't know the way it's laid out. But the places that I do know that have hosted it, Pasadena, Glendale,
Houston, there's
Fort
nothing
Worth,
but fucking-
Dallas.
Yeah,
Houston, great example.
yeah.
You cannot stay
Right.
next to the arena
No.
and walk there,
Right.
right? You are, and it's the greatest advantage that San Antonio has for events like this. You get in an Uber once you land off the airplane,
Right.
and that's the last time you're probably in a car
Correct.
Yeah.
for your entire weekend.
Right. Yep.
You can walk or scooter
Whatever,
anywhere you want. Downtown, the Riverwalk is perfect when the vibe is right.
Right.
And it was right this weekend. It's a great place to be. And as locals, we kind of overlook it because it never seems to have that great party vibe until people come into town.
Right.
But when it's popping, man,
It's great.
it's a great place to be. I think they should host it every year. But as of now, we don't have a men's Final Four scheduled in
And
San
it's
Antonio.
the most disappointing thing when you just told me that, and it's true. I am like very disappointed.
Well, so do
It's booked out to 2031.
Wow.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Damn. That
So the
sucks. I
nearest we
figured
could
you
have
would-
it is 7 years.
Wow.
Wow.
And we need to have Project Marvel. We need a downtown
Right,
stadium
right.
for the international viewers. That is a proposal here locally in San Antonio to build an arena downtown, essentially across the highway from the Alamo Dome, in the heart of downtown where the Spurs can play, and it would be the epicenter of sports and activity in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would venture to guess that the Texas high school boys would play their state championships there too if it got built, because it's been in the Alamo Dome, right? I would think.
I have heard that they were going to move the state championship.
Oh, out of San Antonio?
Either to Waco or maybe Fort Worth to the
Wow.
Dickies Arena out there. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Spurs got that Marvel Arena built.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a real feather in the cap to make Texas high school boys play their final, and girls play their state finals here. Yeah, you're right.
That
Good
would be
point.
awesome. It'd
Didn't
be a
think about
perfect
it.
spot. I want to go one last thing on the Houston Duke game, because I want to bring up, I got to fast forward a little bit here, but the last play. So obviously it came down to the final play. Houston was down by 2. All right, so this is the final play of the game.
That foul line has been a dilemma. They made the 2 big ones the other night. National championship is in the balance. 13 seconds left. Florida leads it by 2. Uzan gonna go. Uzan, give it up. Cryer, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, short. He walked, he can't touch it. He can't. 1 second, and it's over. Florida is back on top of the college basketball world.
Unbelievable ending. I want to run it back here, and I'm muted.
By the way, since you guys are both basketball guys, real quick before we get into this, could he have touched that ball or no?
No.
I thought he couldn't either, and then there's all kinds of people
Absolutely he couldn't have.
arguing because they were saying, well, he didn't put the ball down first, so he should be able to
No.
touch. Okay.
No. It's
No.
a travel.
That's right.
He touches it. And
Anytime I always see anybody jump with the ball and then try to put it down or whatever, it's a travel.
A lot of
It's not
times
good.
they'll call it before they even touch it sometimes. Because sometimes when you go up to shoot it and then go, it's technically a double dribble because you're dribbling with the old double dribble where you're dribbling with 2 hands.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it called like that before. I actually thought initially that it was going to be called, and then they didn't, and I'm like, oh, shit, this is it. If they just knock the ball the other way.
Mhm.
And what a closeout by Clayton. I want to go ahead.
Can I say something
Yeah,
about
go
this
ahead.
play
Yes.
before you rewind it?
Yeah.
This is a brilliant strategy by Kelvin Sampson here. This is a great play. And you will watch the down screen from Roberts that he kind of whiffs on. And if he doesn't whiff on the screen, if he gets a piece of Clayton, Sharp is banging this shot.
I thought it was, when he caught it, I out loud said, fuck. I literally did, because I was like, Clayton, I'm going to freeze it here in a second. So let's see the first action. So I heard Kelvin Sampson talked about this in the press conference, but then I heard some of the players talk about it too. And I feel like Kelvin tends to downplay his own stuff sometimes, because there were two options on this play. Because my initial thought was that was for Cryer. It was. That's because Juwan Roberts goes, the first option was LJ. The second option was Emmanuel coming through an elevator screen. And so if you watch this back, I'm going to run it back.
It's brilliant. There's multiple options.
It's a great option, right?
Pick and roll there on the left sideline.
Now, again, watch again, because they almost all whiff on their screens. It's so un-Houston-like. Watch the ball screen here. Watch the ball screen. He almost slips it. There's no contact, right?
You're right.
No contact. Now, here comes the stagger. Juwan Roberts kind of whiffs. All right. Cryer does a heck of a job, because at this point, if he where he caught that, Cryer hopped out as he was catching it. He knows Emmanuel's coming through the middle here. Mm-hmm. And if he catches where he initially was, there's no space. So Cryer kept the play alive, but Emmanuel is supposed to be coming through the middle, and he's supposed to go straight through the middle there. And if you watch, again, look at Clayton. Look where Clayton stops.
Oh, he's miles away.
That's what I saw live.
He's miles.
He's miles.
I mean, he's almost 20 feet away.
How did he get out there? I mean, like,
Roberts, why are you screening your man, Roberts?
That's the problem. He was screening Condon, and he didn't screen. He did not screen Walter Clayton, and I think it's because he thought he was going to be coming more through the middle, and Clayton just waited. Maybe he knew the play. Maybe he did, because, I mean, I have a hard time believing it being that far off, but it's like he knew that screen was going to be in the middle, and he ran outside, and he said, and then I close out the way we're taught, which is you jump to the side of them so you can't hit them, and it's right in their face with your hand. And I mean, it's just literally at this point, I mean, he has nothing he can do.
Unbelievable.
And a lot of people, I'll ask you one last thing. We don't have to spend too much more time on this, but a lot of people were saying that Emmanuel Sharp could have shot faked that. I'm going to watch it again. I didn't think I thought it was.
Never saw an opportunity
right.
for that.
I mean, like, I'm open here. I think I'm shooting this.
I'm pulling the trigger.
I'm pulling that. And he hit one from the other side, almost that exact same spot a couple possessions before that. Like, maybe like with 3 minutes to go or so. He hit one that Alex Condon damn near touched his hand on. Yeah. I mean, he's pulling that shot. Never am I thinking shot fake here. Not to mention, look, Sampson's went for the win. Both those actions were for a three.
Yeah.
Both of them were for three.
Right.
Cryer for a three. And now I said I thought they were going to go for the win. I thought the only other option if they didn't do that was to throw it to Juwan Roberts down low. So right when they didn't throw it to him low, I was like, okay, they're going for the win. And they did. They went to Cryer 1 and Sharp 2, and it was just a heck of a play. I thought they were going to go for the win.
You try to shoot a three there in my mind every single time, because if you shoot a three with 5 seconds left, if you miss it, Houston's getting offensive rebound 60%, and that's going to be their best opportunity inside
didn't
the
even
score
think
anyway.
Point. I didn't even think about that.
So you shoot a three for the win. If it goes in, you're winning, and then if it doesn't, you have 5 seconds for your big. Both those guys were scrambling down to go get the offensive rebound, and they probably score anyway.
Good call.
Want to hear one crazy
just going
stat?
to Roberts one-on-one down there.
Florida won the rebounding battle against Houston. First team to beat them the whole tournament. They were I believe, plus 61 in the rebounding category their first 5 games, and Florida beat them by 1. It was tight. Now, Houston won the offensive glass. Houston was 15-9 on the offensive glass, but it was 40-39 Florida overall. They won the battle on the boards. That's impressive. And the guy that you liked, that I was shitting on the whole game, because he fucking traveled 8 damn times in the first half.
Condon.
But he was a beast on the boards, especially in the second half, and was a huge reason they won the game.
Yeah, his travels in the first half really hurt them.
Yes.
It kept them behind in that first half.
Right.
But I have to give him credit. Athletically, to match up with Roberts and the front line of the Cougars was really impressive. I think he only finished with 7 rebounds, but it seemed like a lot more than that.
Yeah, and it felt like he affected his presence down there. Like, he forced other people to have to bang with him, which allowed other guys to get rebounds.
He's an interesting prospect.
He is he's a sophomore only, too, I believe.
Yeah,
I think he's a sophomore. I think he's a pretty young kid.
Yeah. Interesting prospect.
Yeah. By the way, I was looking, I didn't know this because I was thinking, man, I don't know if Houston will ever be back here. And given the way they build their program, it takes a while for them to build up. These guys were all older. But they have one of the best recruiting classes in the country coming in. 3 of the top 20, I believe, including the best player from San Antonio, Texas, Kingston Flemings. Mm-hmm. So that'll be a fun watch next year. And I think he's a perfect fit for Houston, by the way.
I got to watch Kingston play 4 times this year. And holy smokes.
He's the best player I've seen in San Antonio ever.
I would agree.
I can't find another player I've watched.
I would agree. I mean, Shaq was around when I was a kid.
so that's different.
So
I didn't see that.
That's different,
right.
but and Shaq is just different.
Yeah.
But he's
when you just go by Shaq, you know.
yeah, that kid,
and you're
that
just Shaq.
Kingston can go, man.
He can go.
He is fast. He jumps high and he jumps easy.
Yes, he does.
He always seems like he has another gear that he can go to, and I can't wait to watch him play college basketball.
It's going to be a blast to see a kid from San Antonio that he's the highest recruited, like in terms of probably since Shaq, right? In terms of the like projection, and I don't know what the ranking systems were like back then, but like I think he's a top 15 kid. I mean, he is.
Is that what he ended up?
Yeah, I mean, he is a
I
top
think he
15
definitely
kid.
is. When we went to watch him play against, who was it, Stony Point?
It was the regional final in 2024 against Stony Point at Northside to go to state.
They were playing Mosley and Stony Point. And Mosley, to me,
went to Nova.
Yeah, he's at Nova. But I told Dylan, I was like, I think he's got all the skills, whatever, but he's just a tweener. He's like he's a 6'7" big man instead of, like.
Great high school player.
Yeah, great high school. He was unbelievable in high school. And then you saw Kingston. I was like, yeah, that guy could play in the NBA next year. Yeah. Come off the bench in the NBA. Like when the kids used to go from high school, I'd be like, I think he could go late first round if he would have came out of, out of high school.
You said it really well. The way he goes up so easy. It's like he floats in the air. It's weird. It's so interesting. I've never seen a kid do it like that.
When he threw some dunks down, I was like, damn.
I would love to see him on a high jump.
Oh my gosh.
Because he just keeps going up. It's so weird. I've really never seen it. It's like he only jumps as high as he needs to.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever seen him jump as high as he can.
That's a great point. That's a great point. It doesn't look like he's trying to get as high as he can ever.
It really doesn't.
He looks like he's just not. He does care. He's trying hard, but it just looks like he doesn't need to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really exciting. Look, I love Houston and the program, and I love Kelvin Sampson, and I think they had an awesome season, and they damn near won it all. But props to the Gators. Look, that was a senior-led team with Walter Clayton, and they got it done. I give them a ton of credit. Let me ask you a question, and maybe this will help segue into the NBA because I know we want to get there.
Yes.
And this is for you Spurs fans, and we're San Antonians, so we got to be.
Right.
Close your eyes, and can you visualize Devin Vassell on that floor of that Houston, Florida game? Can he hack it? Is he tough enough to play in that game?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
I know he's talented enough.
Sure, but tough enough.
Is he tough enough to play in that game?
I think there's a couple of NBA dudes you could say the same thing about. That's a really good point. I don't know if he is.
Well, it's my beef with the Spurs. It's my contention anyway, that they're just not, they're not nasty. They're not tough. And it bothers me that they're not. And I get it. Wemby is never going to be a tough guy. That's not who he is.
Right.
Neither was Tim Duncan, though, so it's okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you got to have some toughness.
Right.
Ginobili was tough as balls, right?
Tony Parker was kind of a prick, but tough. In his own way.
Steven Jackson role player, Robert Horry for a couple of the runs. They were nasty dudes.
They were. They had their nasties.
Bruce Bowen was pretty
Bruce
nasty.
Bowen was a nasty dude.
A very annoying, nasty man
He's a
out
pest.
there.
Yes.
So where are the Spurs going to get their nasty from?
Listen, I want to just ship. I've been trying to ship Devin Vassell off to play for the fucking Shanghai Sharks for 5 years. I would take a used the Spurs. You can get them off the books for a used Camry. You just do it. I don't get why people like Devin Vassell. I get it. I know he can score the ball. He takes fucking atrocious shots.
He does.
And the ones he's wide open, he never makes. He makes the ones that are like turn around 20-footers. I'm like, what the fuck is this asshole doing? And they go in. It drives me fucking nuts.
He is a bad shot taker and a bad shot maker, and he is not a consistent open shooter.
Right.
Kind of reminds me of our analysis of Trey Johnson from UT, by the way.
It's a great comparison.
Say it out loud.
They play a lot of the
that actually is a great comparison.
Also, Spurs, obviously, we want to win the lottery and get Cooper Flag, obviously. If not, and you guys are basketball guys, I want Con Knipple. I'm in love with Con Knipple. I want a tall, white, lethal shooter that shoots 90% from the free throw line. There's nothing that gets me more excited than that, Vex. Okay, I know you like the guys that have 42 kids outside of wedlock, and as long as they're not at the house bothering him, you're okay. He's openly okay with that. And by the way, that leads me into another great story. Anthony Edwards, with maybe the worst investment of all time, didn't want that bitch bothering him. He didn't want this bitch bothering him, so he paid all the child support up front, $1.2 million.
No way.
Instead of putting it in the market and making the money to pay the child support, he said, "Nah, fuck that.
I have
I'm
never
paying it
heard
all
of
up
such
front."
a thing.
The first one to ever do it, man. That's when
He's
you're
a trailblazer.
when you're the bastard.
He's a trailblazer.
When you're the bastard child of Michael Jordan, you do things like that.
That's insane.
Did you send that to me? Or
Yes, I go. This is that. I said one of the funniest things I've ever seen, but also the most. I mean, that's like going full retard. It's like you're telling me not to have one money guy around that's like, "Hey, we'll give you an extra $20,000 a year in child support if you never contact me. Just put the money away in an investment, Anthony." Nope. No. 1.2 up front, dog. Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about the NBA coaching firings the last couple days because these have been shocking. I know Taylor Jenkins was actually like maybe last week, but we had Taylor Jenkins, and I think at the time the Grizzlies were 5th or 4th in the West.
Yeah.
He was the all-time winningest coach in Memphis Grizzlies history. He gets fired. That's shocking in its own right with 11 games left in the season. And then the Denver Nuggets said, "Hold my beer," and said, "Hang on, we have a championship winning coach here who won 2 years ago, but not even because we've not even finished this year yet. We have the best player on the planet. Jamal Murray's been injured, and we're going to fire Mike Malone, who's been there for 10 years and is the all-time winningest coach in Denver Nuggets history." Do you have any explanation for this? I've heard a couple of possibilities.
They dumped the GM too, by the way. I don't know if you saw
they
that.
They did, and
yeah.
I did hear that they had been fighting. Those two, the coach and the GM, had butted heads and talked behind each other's back. This is just what I heard. Vex would know better than I, but that they were like, "You know what? We're just going to get rid of both of them. We like Rick Adelman's son is the lead assistant, I believe. And he's the one who they hired, and they were thinking he was going to get hired next year anyway. By another
Adelman.
Yes. And so they were like, well, we like him. This is just not going well, and he might have lost the locker room. I completely, vehemently, and I don't even know if that's a word, disagree with the fucking firing. But I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I'm blown away. This is beyond stupid. And this is a season that you could encapsulate it with beyond stupid. Yeah. We traded Luka Doncic for a bucket of chicken.
Yeah.
Okay. And
that's actually pretty racist to call. Hold on. Let's pump the brakes here.
Hold on.
You just called Anthony Davis a bucket of chicken? Whoa, Vex. I'm going to have to cut that.
You said the R word a second. Okay, buddy.
Anyway, it's been the year of the stupid.
Right. Yeah.
The Luka trade, then the Jenkins firing. They're in 5th place with 10 games left. John Morant has been in and out of the lineup. You think it's the coach's fault? Oh, okay. Go figure. And then Denver's like, trump card. We can do it with 4 games left. What? And look, I realized they'd lost 4 in a row. Jamal Murray had been hurt. He'd had an incredible overtime loss where Russell Westbrook made a boneheaded play. Like, how is that Michael Malone's fault? I have no idea. But to your point, there was infighting between the general manager, Calvin Booth, hell of a player in his own right, by the way, back at Maryland when I was a kid. Calvin Booth and Mike Malone didn't get along. Calvin Booth wanted young kids, kept drafting and hoping to develop guys to play with Jokic. And Mike Malone allegedly didn't want to make those picks, wanted to ship those picks and bring in vets to play along Jokic. I get Michael Malone's strategy. You have the best player on the freaking planet in Jokic, who's 29, and a short window to win in. So, yeah, you kind of want to get guys on the right timeline. But I could also say, to Calvin Booth's point about having younger players are cheaper. And Denver was in danger of crossing the second apron for the salary cap, and they're not a big market team. So, look, neither one of them is right. Neither one of them is wrong, and they're both gone. Now, would I have ever fired my head coach with 4 games before the playoffs? No chance. I don't care how bad he is. I mean, if it was a sexual assault investigation. I'm going to say, we're going to investigate this after the season.
We're going to let the investigation play out.
Yes, that's it. That's the word.
Take some notes, Texas. Chris Beard situation. Let it play out. Okay.
The news is wild. I know nothing about the NBA, but the news is wild to me that the Grizzlies coach, I had no idea why. I feel like they kind of are an overachieving bunch anyway, especially with Ja always. I don't know if it was Ja always pointing guns at people after celebrations. By the way, I don't know if you saw it last night. He threw a hand grenade into the crowd after a three. I think they told him no guns, and I swear to God, he made a three and went like this.
That is such a good idea.
And it's like, no guns, but Ja Morant still got the grenades. It's like, that's pretty funny, fucking funny. I like that. But yeah, I don't know. The Grizzlies one caught me off guard. The Malone one, I was just absolutely shocked. I'm not the big. I don't know if I'm the biggest Malone fan ever, but I wouldn't mind if the Spurs hired him and popped in.
That's what I said.
Well, I think that's the next thing that all Spurs fans are going to be talking about, right? Because look, Pop's health is allegedly not good. So the likelihood of him coaching again is not good. And I don't think Mitch Johnson is going to be the head coach going forward. I'm not even sure he's going to be an assistant coach going forward. The Spurs need new leadership. They need, in my opinion, an infusion of youth, of doggedness, and it takes a hungry coach, preferably a young hungry coach, and a disciplinarian hard ass to make those cultural changes happen. Mike Malone is not young, but Michael Malone is a hard ass.
Yes.
For sure. And maybe he can get the best out of some of these guys. Keldon, Vassell, et cetera, Sohan. Look, quick Spurs take before the summer even comes. I think you're going to see a major overhaul of either the roster or the coaching staff. And I don't know which one it's going to be, and it could be both, but I guarantee it's going to be one or the other.
I wouldn't mind both.
Yeah, I kind of want both, too. That's what I was thinking, too. The only other, I know Dylan will get in here and say what he wants to say. The only other thing I'll say about the Malone deal is I understand him wanting to bring in vets to play with Jokic because maybe the GM's delusional in this sense, but I would be shocked if Jokic played basketball past 33.
Right.
Just don't think he cares. I mean, honestly, I think he might play till he's, I don't know when his contract's up or whatever, but after this one's up, I have a strong feeling that he's like in
he's
Serbia
30
with
right
the
now.
Horses and hanging out with his brothers. I just don't. He's got plenty of money already. I just don't think he cares. Someone was showing the which is a cool stat. It'll never hold up because, like I said, Jokic is only going to play till he's 32, 33. But it was Jokic at age 29 versus LeBron, and it said the argument no one's ready to have, and Jokic's numbers were far better.
Yes,
far better. Like an extra point or so a game, and then 3 extra rebounds, 3 extra assists. I'm like, my God.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, just a funny video because Jonathan sent this to me earlier.
Right.
In America, everybody just wants all the kids shoot threes, right? Because they all want to be Steph Curry, and so you see these third graders launching threes. This is what they do in Serbia. All right, this is
Fat Serbian kids. Look at them. Ooh.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it.
They play just like him.
I love it.
Look at the fundamentals.
I'm going to go back to the basket from 94 feet.
Look at him. Oh,
look at the
Oh
dime.
my. Oh. Please tell me this is real.
It
Is
is
that kid
real.
Serbian?
A
real.
young Jokic.
Isn't that awesome?
Look at the spin. He dribbles just
I
like him too.
love it. Holy smokes.
Pretty good. Yeah, my buddy sent me that today. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the best thing I've ever seen.
That really is. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I just threw it up there real quick because I forgot he sent that to me.
Where are they playing? Is that
Yeah.
like a racquetball court?
It's the only gym in Serbia. Oh my gosh. No, I have a question for you on the Malone deal. If you're the owner, not necessarily who is right, but what would you have done? Obviously you wouldn't have fired Malone. Do you get rid of the GM? Do you let the year play out and then assess? Because the timing of it makes no sense to me.
There's no way I'm pulling the trigger on firing either of them before the playoffs start. I mean, if you flame out in the playoffs, then you have all the ammunition you need to fire both of them.
It's a good point.
Doing it, this seems like, I don't know, premature ejaculation, bro. I mean, wait until the team, screws up. And I don't think anybody thinks Denver is a favorite.
Right.
I mean, nobody looks at their roster and says Denver should win an NBA championship. I mean, it's really Cavaliers, Celtics, OKC. That's it. And then there's another tier of interesting teams, and Denver's in that tier of interesting teams, but they're not one of those top three.
Nope, they're not. I mean, and I do think, and again, I don't know, because like you kind of mentioned, Malone wanted the veterans. We got Russell Westbrook. He got some of what he wanted, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like the GM was just, this is all his doing of the roster. I do think maybe it's a combination of the both of them. I think it is that roster probably. It's tough to say that it's good enough to win a championship. Maybe not to win. They could, but a lot of things would have to break their way. I think they may have overpaid Michael Porter Jr. I know he was a really good piece. He can't guard. I mean, he couldn't guard guys in my JCC men's league.
No,
I mean, it's bad sometimes. Yeah. He doesn't even care out there half the time.
Look, to your point, I mean, firing Calvin Booth, it still makes sense. I mean, look at the statistics. Jokic, when he is on the floor, that Denver offense is the best offensive team of all time.
Wow.
Of all time. Did you know that?
Wild. I did not know
it's
that.
I want to say it's 132 points per 100 possessions.
Holy shit.
It is number one all time. And when he is off the floor, it is the worst in the NBA this season.
That might be the craziest stat I've heard this year.
So how good is the rest of his team?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Obviously not that great.
And to be honest, and we can move on from this, but to be honest, I've had questions, except for the year that he was great in their run to the championship. I don't know that Jamal Murray is the guy that is the clear-cut number 2 go-to guard who's going to win you a championship. In that specific run, he was. But I feel like Jokic got a lot of blame before he won that championship that was undue because Murray didn't step up in the playoffs and would have these games where he'd launch 25 shots and hit 7 of them.
Yeah.
And that's what we have seen, right? Not to mention, he's always injured. He's injured right now. He was injured going in the playoffs last year, right? I don't know. He has games where he looks like a guy who is a superstar. And then there's other times where it's no, he doesn't look like that guy at all, and he cost them games. So I don't know. I agree. I just that stat backs up what I've kind of thought, and that's a crazy, crazy stat. But I think you hit it spot on, right? The Nuggets are they an interesting team that you're okay, yeah, they could make a run, but part of that is because Mike Malone's a championship coach and is their coach, and now you take that piece away, they become less interesting, less intriguing to make a run, in my opinion. I really do.
I'm waiting for Jokic to say something.
That's exactly. I wonder if he ever will.
Kind of doubt it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
They should bring in his brother to coach, that giant demon of a brother. Noah would say shit. They would get every call. Yeah. Because he'd just pull the refs on like the fucking guy from Game of Thrones, pull him apart by his arms. They showed a picture of them sitting together at dinner, and it's keep in mind, Jokic is 6 foot whatever,
Yes.
Basically 300 pounds, and his brother makes him look like a midget.
I saw that.
Like a little kid sitting next to him. Oh my God.
He looks like a 400-pound Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah. That's exactly right. 7 foot Chuck Liddell.
Okay, last question, and we'll go to WNBA or not. If you had to pick today between the Cavs, Celtics, and Thunder, who are you picking to win the championship?
I think it's the Thunder.
That's my feeling too.
Yeah, I think they're the best team in the league.
Yep.
Look, the Cavaliers and Celtics are going to make it interesting. And I think it's going to be a great playoffs. We just got done with a great NCAA tournament. I think you're going to have an awesome playoffs. The Western Conference playoffs in particular are a dogfight. I mean, what did we say before the show?
Yeah, there were 3 through 9 or 4 through 9 all have 32 losses.
So there's 6 teams in the Western Conference that are essentially in a loss column tie with 3 or 4 games to play.
It's unreal.
That's bananas. That's a lot of movement that can happen in the next 6 days. And then, the East isn't going to be as entertaining, but if you get Knicks Pistons in the first round, bro, that is a delight.
That would be awesome. That's what it is right now, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would be an absolute delight.
That would be a blast to watch that. We might get a rematch, too, of the because Pacers and Bucks last year, and they didn't have Giannis, right? Didn't he get injured?
That's right.
So we're gonna get a rematch of that series too. That is gonna be a fun couple series in the East.
And the West is just gonna be ape shit.
Oh yeah, everything's gonna.
Will the Lakers get there? I don't know. Maybe.
The Uncle T know nothing about basketball pick is Oklahoma City versus the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals.
I love it.
The Warriors have been playing great ball according to the standings right here, and they got Jimmy buckets, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've been playing a lot better with him.
Playoff Jimmy with Steph Curry. Give me the Warriors. Actually, you know what? The Warriors are going to win the West. How about that?
Oh, man.
I love it.
Oh, well,
Love it.
Look, the last time he gave Juju Watkins a Brookie Award on the show, and she tore her ACL 2 days later.
That's right.
He picked Iowa State to win the championship.
Might as well just fade the Warriors.
Clemson lost to McNeese State in the first fucking round. Dear Lord.
I know how to pick them.
You do.
Speaking of Juju Watson, let's do that WNBA.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. All right, I'm going to pull it up right now, and that can be where we close here. Okay, so Vex is playing this for the first time. Both of y'all are going to guess. Turner, I don't think you'll remember this.
If I recognize him, I'll refrain.
Or let Vex go first at least.
There's no way you're going to have like a photographic memory. There's no way.
Probably not.
Okay.
But sometimes I'm not drinking when we do these, so I might remember them because you used to do them in the mornings. But yeah, in the afternoon. Although the last time we did it was in the afternoon. I went 5 for 5. So.
Oh, wow.
Hold
Dylan
on.
blamed
Sorry.
bullshit. He said, I didn't take time to put this together. I'm like, that's your fucking fault. 5 for 5.
It's time to play WNBA or not.
Am I supposed to guess whether that girl is in the WNBA?
Okay, so the game, how the game works is essentially I'm gonna put 5 different pictures. This is number 1, and all you got to do is say yes, she is. You just say WNBA or not WNBA.
Absolutely not.
Turner.
I think this is the girl that's half, or is good looking that Dylan always puts in to trick me because she looks like she'd be like a skier. I'm going to say yes, she is in the WNBA.
I did just look and get all the answers now. This is a WNBA player.
Yeah,
Julie
he's
Alamon,
put this
LA
motherfucker,
Sparks.
sunglasses, no sunglasses, and a bunch of them.
Hold on. If you thought that one wasn't, wait till you see the next one.
Oh, okay.
WNBA or not?
Oh, my God.
I'm gonna let Vex go.
If the answer is yes, I'm going to start going to games. I mean, I have to say no because I don't think so.
Turner?
I'm trying to remember back who this was. This may be one of the, sometimes he gets real tricky, Vex, and puts like 2 good-looking women in a row, and you're like, there's no way this one's in the WNBA. And it might be the only 2 good-looking women in the league. I'm going to say yes.
I think Turner remembers these because this is a WNBA.
Well, I
player.
think let's see.
That's JC Sheldon. She's in her first year, so this will be her second year with the Dallas Wings. Yeah.
He's gonna go follow her. He's gonna go follow her on Instagram. new biggest fan.
Okay, see that Turner knows my tricks. We've done this like 50 times, and so he knows what I do and what I don't do. And this is an old one.
I honestly don't.
Yeah, but this is an old one, so you know I've switched it up a little bit lately. I flipped a coin for a while, whether to do it or not. Okay.
Okay.
I also
zoom in on JC. She is not as cute as advertised.
Exactly. See, I find the pictures that are really the best pictures of them.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's
tell
tough.
you that.
It's tough. I'm telling you,
you should manage her, Dylan. With that.
Okay, just stick to your guts. Stick to your guts, all right? Is this a WNBA player or not? Number 3.
Oh man, this is so racist if I say yes. I don't think so. That's not a WNBA player.
Sometimes he goes really, really obvious and then like super, super obvious. I'm gonna say it is a WNBA player.
It is a WNBA player.
No way!
Yes.
With that dumper?
Yep. Dejanay Mustard carrying. I call her Mustard. That's not her real name.
Dejanay. That's one of
I can't
Dylan's.
stand her, and I call her Mustard Carrington.
That's one of Dylan's favorite players.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
Mustard showing off that dog there. Jesus.
See, but Vex, you'll get the hang of this after the first couple times.
I don't think I will, actually.
It's a tough game.
I don't know. It's become a real mental struggle between us of like trick and not trick and one step ahead when you do it that many times. Okay. And also, he has the advantage, too, because if passing grade is 3 out of 5 for us. He wins if he gets 3 out of 5.
I'm over, bro.
Let's see if you get one of the last 2. All right, here's number 4. Number 4, obviously the one.
He is not in the WNBA.
Well, you're 1 for 4 now. But what about the one on the right? WNBA or not?
Nah, she's not in the WNBA. Look at those legs.
Vex, I think you got this one right, and I got this right when we did that. I said she's too old. She might be a coach or something. But she doesn't.
Y'all are both right. She is not a WNBA player. That is an ESPN analyst. That is LaChina Robinson.
All right.
LaChina used to play, I guarantee you. She's an analyst. Yes, LaChina used to play.
I actually don't know if she did. Okay, last one. Number 5.
Oh, yeah, she's in the league.
She's in WNBA?
She's in the league.
Turner, you're 4 for 4. Now, you've had this one before, so if you get this right, I don't really care.
I believe I had you zoom in because I think I got this one right back in the day because I think she has a like a number necklace. And that was
She does.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's how I got that when we did it live. So I said yes.
That is a WNBA.
Yeah.
Maddie Seidrich. There you go. Hey, you got the last two.
I
That's
got
pretty
on the
good.
board.
You did. You're on the board.
How about the Dallas Wings with the whites? They got 2 whites on the team. That's like they had Caitlin Clark. The Ku Klux Klan might be fans.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man, I might have to do some editing on this episode. All right. Anything else, guys, before we get out of here?
I'm great. This was fun.
This was a blast.
I'm really proud of you for putting this together. That's a good bit.
It's a good little segment, right?
Yeah.
We do it every week. It's our most popular segment for sure.
I get it.
You'll probably never work a real job again when you do this for multiple times. If you hear the stuff I've said over the years, or the year and a half, it's been pretty bad. Bailey was sometimes like, Jesus up there. But it's like, that's how I come to my decisions.
He's pretty good. I'll give him credit.
You gotta zoom in and you gotta really dig in deep.
I'm not giving you credit for going 5 for 5 here. You went 5 for 5 last week, but this is like you get like a half credit because you've gotten this one before.
That's fair.
You get half credit.
Fair.
All right.
You get a Miller Lite.
That's right. Yeah. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Episode 77 in the books. Go check out Vex on his podcast, The Unrestricted with Vex and the Bulldog. Great listen, and I got to be on there last week. So check that out. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, social media. All that stuff's in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.